Thank you for joining your desert frontiersman Alan for these Native American legends while you relax or drive. Today, we will be delving into the founding myths of Hopi and Pima Native Americans. If you enjoy these Southwest desert stories, leave a like or comment. For further adventures, hit the subscribe button. Envision an entire civilization thriving underneath the soil, quarreling and carrying on wars unseen by human eyes. What if your own ancestors emerged from the earth itself, guided by divine beings and mythic birds? According to the oral history of the Hopi Nation, this fantastical scenario is precisely what occurred countless seasons ago. Back then, their forefathers were not the noble stewards of the vivid mesa landscapes found in Arizona today. Rather, they inhabited a strange subterranean realm deep below the ground. What follows is the story of the Hopi people and their miraculous emergence into the light of day through a sacred opening still revered in their culture. Journey with us as we recount this stirring legend from a time when birds and gods walked among men below ground and directed their destiny above it. The oral history of the Hopi people stretches back countless generations. In the time of their grandfathers' grandfathers, the Hopi ancestors all lived together underground in the center of the earth. Life was more harmonious then. They would spend their days blissfully playing in the willow thickets along winding streams. But over many seasons and snows, discontent festered among the people. Quarrels broke out frequently. Game animals grew impossibly scarce, leading to rampant hunger. Crops withered no matter how diligently they were tended. Strange sicknesses claimed the lives of Hopi children at alarming rates. Meanwhile, wars between rival tribes under the earth were nearly endless. Warriors would return to the villages wounded and empty-handed. As life deteriorated, the elders held council meetings to try to ease their people's suffering, but nothing improved. Finally, the most ancient and venerated chief called a council of all the good people that remained. In attendance were divine beings like Spider-Woman, the nurturing Earth Mother, as well as the fierce twin war gods Pukong Hoya and Balunga Hoya. The elder chief solemnly addressed the grim assembly, saying, "For too many moons we have only filled the air with empty words and complaints, rather than meaningfully acting to change our situation. If there is another world above us, it cannot possibly be more unfriendly or harsh than our current existence here. The time has come to send a scout to investigate if there is a better place we can migrate to." The council agreed to use their sacred magical powers to shape a small bird named Matsni from a mixture of water and clay. Brought to life via their songs and prayers, the tiny bird loyally asked how it could serve them. The elder instructed Matsni to fly up through the darkness as high as possible beyond their sun to search diligently for an entrance to the upper world. Flapping its new wings mightily, Matsni swiftly departed. As the people anxiously awaited their scout's return, the chiefs finalized a contingency plan to deal with the evil ones. If there was indeed a new world they could move to, they would cause a great flood to exterminate their sworn enemies, along with giant serpents that would devour any other dissenters. Eventually, Matsni returned completely exhausted, despairing that it was too tiny and weak to locate any upper world openings. So the council created another bird, the larger, brawnier mockingbird, indestructible and fearless. The mockingbird soared ever higher through the gloom until it miraculously discovered a small opening. Passing through, it found itself emerging into what is now called the Grand Canyon, surrounded by beauty. When the jubilant mockingbird related its incredible discovery, the crier chief rapidly spread the word that all good people must prepare to migrate to this new land of promise in 4 days' time. On the fated morning, The entire nation gathered beneath the precious opening that led outside their gloomy underground domain. The wise chiefs transformed a pine seed into a towering tree, but found it too frail to bear much weight. They attempted this process twice more, but still the trees were not sturdy enough for the entire tribe. Finally, Spider-Woman and the fierce war god scrambled up the intertwined pines and out the opening. As members of the spiritual underworld entered the towering Great Canyon, they were each assigned a place and language by the mocking bird. Some were designated as Navajo and given the Navajo tongue. Others became Hopi and were granted the Hopi language. This mythical bird granted not just Native American tribes their lands and languages, but all peoples across the world, including white Europeans. Every community worldwide was believed to have received their homeland and native speech from this one legendary bird. However, the overtaxed mockingbird eventually grew far too exhausted to keep apportioning lands and tongues. Some late ascending clans were forced to turn back, condemned to wander the depths forever. This mythic opening to the upper world remains sacred to the Hopi, who still refer to it as Sipapu. All their villages contain symbolic stone shrine kivas representing Sipapu, reminding them of their glorious deliverance into this wondrous world where they now reside. Pull your chairs closer while I regale you with a pivotal tale from Hopi folklore. This dramatic legend recounts hardships faced by their ancestors arriving in this harsh land long ago, and how creative solutions kindled the first spark of Hopi civilization. If you enjoy this legend, leave a like, a follow, or comment. Please hit the subscribe button. Picture utter darkness. No moon, no stars, no sun in the frigid blackness. Into this oblivion, the proto-Hopi people emerge from the underworld below, strangers in an unfamiliar and hostile realm. They forage blindly for firewood and subsistence, but the barren land refuses to yield its secrets. The people grow despondent without light or food. Suddenly comes an impossible sight, a bold fire blazing in the distance. Investigating closer, it surrounds a small garden bountiful with ripe corn, beans, squash, and more. Tending this oasis of warmth and plenty stands a striking, straight-backed man adorned by 4 magnificent turquoise necklaces. His ears sport matching turquoise pendants that sway as he moves. This encounter puzzles the wandering Hopi greatly. The mystifying gardener reveals his name as Skeleton and displays his fearsome ceremonial mask, worn to embody his harsher aspect. But to the struggling Hopi, he demonstrates great empathy, inviting them to share freely from his garden. Though small in acreage, Skeleton's crops prove absurdly abundant, nourishing all the transplants with plenty to spare. Relief sweeps the group at this sudden respite. Once their bellies are full, curiosity blooms about Skeleton's provenance. He coaches the Hopi in establishing their own adjacent gardens utilizing his methods, requiring swirling fires to mimic lost sunlight. The quick-growing Hopi field soon emulates Skeleton's miraculous fecundity. But concerns resurface. What happens when they journey onward? Skeleton convenes the Hopi elders for counsel. After a long meditation, they resolve to craft a surrogate moon to light their way, hearkening to legends from their fallen homeworld. With Skeleton assisting the tribal artisans, they stretch buffalo hide over a carved wooden skeleton to approximate the moon's curves. Meticulous applications of white paint create the lunar face, framed with charcoal shadows along the edges that flow like half-remembered dreams. When their masterwork is finished, proud warriors hoist the cloth skywards as musicians chant prophetic verses. The assembly watches breathless as the apparatus launches aloft, arcing toward destiny. It dwindles from sight into the dark tapestry of night. Has the ritual failed? Moments stretch endless as hope falters. But wonder prevails. First faint, then unmistakable, soft, lunar light crests the horizon. Cheers erupt seeing their devoted faith realized. By their own hands they've enticed their lost companion moon to this foreign firmament. May it bless many generations to come. I pray this legend lingers likewise in your memory, surfacing when your road ahead passes into shadow. If adversity arises, remember well the Hopi people's resilience. Often through darkness, we forge the brightest light. In the distant past of the underworld, the prehistoric ancestors of the Hopi Indians faced dire circumstances. Starved by famine, they decided to embark on a monumental migration to the surface of the earth. When they arrived, darkness encompassed the earth. So the elders instructed the people to create the moon, fashioning it from buffalo hide. With the moon illuminating the land, the Hopis could finally see. But its dim light made life difficult. Workers stumbled while tending the fields, unable to tell precious crops from weeds. Fires had to be kept burning constantly just to fend off the bitter cold. The Hopi elders gathered in council once more. They knew another solution must be found. This time, instead of buffalo hide, they used a piece of warm cloth woven while still in the underworld. On this disc, they painted a copper face with eyes and mouth. Decorating its forehead with symbolic colors, they encircled it with a zigzag design of corn husks and bound it with animal hair. Eagle feathers were attached and tipped with red bird plumage on the back of the disc in a circle of attached corn husks. An abalone shell was affixed on the forehead of the circle. When the ornamented sun disk was ready, the chiefs placed it on a great sheet and chose another strong young man to stand at its center. Just as before with the moon, all the villagers raised the corners of the sheet, swinging it mightily back and forth. With a powerful thrust, they launched the man and disc high into the pink glow of early dawn. As the onlookers watched the eastern sky in anticipation, light began to bloom as if from a growing fire. In moments, the new sun peaked above the horizon, spilling warm rays and banishing cold shadows. Now empowered with both sun and moon to light their path, the Hopi resumed their destined migration. But unwilling to all follow one course, the people divided. The white people took a trail to the south, while the Hopis took a trail north. Finally, the Pueblo natives stayed in the middle. The Hopi walked many generations, building and planting, slowly winding ever closer to the mesas they still inhabit. Remnants of their long odyssey can be seen in ruins scattered from their mesa home all along the mighty Colorado River. Their long quest from the underworld finally ended when they arrived to the place they knew as home. Thank you for joining me on another Southwest adventure. Begins in a remote age on the lofty rims of the Grand Canyon, home to an ancestral tribe, forebears of the present-day Hopi Snake Clan. The tribe was governed by a wise chief, whose thoughtful young son often gazed ponderously into the canyon's depths, filled with wonder over the mysteries of the great river below. In that era, the Colorado River's full course was unknown. Fantastic theories abounded in the village over where its waters ultimately flowed. Some even claimed it tunneled straight through the earth itself. One day, the chief's son appealed to his father. "I believe the time has come to unravel the secrets of this river. I must journey down into the canyon to see where it leads. My spirit knows no peace until I follow this call." Recognizing the conviction in his son's eyes, the old chief nodded solemnly and gave his blessing. The young man devoted great care in planning his expedition, assembling durable provisions, carving a sturdy pole to push his boat along. Before he embarked, tribe members flooded the river's edge in ceremony. The local priest presented him with painted prayer feathers and food for protection on the harrowing passage ahead. Into the winding canyon maze the young adventurer plunged, riding out violent rapids, navigating around imposing cliffs and through dim grottos obscured in shadow. Many days passed in solitude before a bright horizon of sunlight and open plains emerged. His craft drifted west until the water turned salty. He had survived the entire river to reach the Pacific Ocean. Near a small coastal island, it came to rest. This land was supervised by Spider-Woman, a powerful magical guardian. Her doorway was far too tiny, yet when the young man asked to come inside, her reply rang out, "Then make it bigger." He did as she asked and entered the lair to introduce himself. Understandably fatigued from his journey into the unknown, he said, "I have scaled a mighty river never before traversed by any tribal member. Now I hope to take something useful home for my people." Spider-Woman affirmed that indeed, in a dwelling across the sea lay a stash of magical coral beads, exactly the sort of wonderful prize he desired. But she warned the path there crawled with lethal beasts who would obstruct his access. Fortunately, the young man impressed Spider-Woman with his courage. She gave him her mystical blessing along with directions for quelling these animals' deadly tempers. Riding upon his ear, she guided him across a shimmering rainbow bridge extending over the waters toward his objective on the opposite shore. As anticipated, terrifying predators prowled the route, first a hulking mountain lion bearing its fangs. Yet a sprinkling of Spider-Woman's potion coupled with the prayer feathers pacified the scenario. The duo repeated her technique with each successive encounter, a roaring bear, fierce wildcat, circling wolf pack until coming upon the most frightening obstacle, an enormous rattlesnake blocking the entrance, poised to strike. But the snake, too, acquiesced in the face of the boy's gentle bravery. The distant structure appeared in the form of a ceremonial kiva with a ladder descending down. The young adventurer climbed below to find a gathering of priests in ornate blue kilts and decorated faces representing the Snake Clan's holy order. For ages they sat in silence around a fire pit observing the stranger in their midst. Finally, the high priest calmly packed tobacco into a pipe, smoked it in a ritualized manner, then passed it to the young visitor as means of introduction. Mimicking their precise technique, the young man won their approval, the elder declaring appreciatively, "By custom you have shown yourself as one of us. No ordinary outlander could exhibit such mastery." Next, the group orchestrated an additional test. Transforming a lovely maiden into a vibrant yellow snake, they challenged the young man to pick her out from the heap of writhing serpents slithering across the kiva floor. Guided once more by Spider-Woman's discerning prompts, correctly he grabbed the specified rattler that promptly shape-shifted back into the winsome girl, now promised to him in marriage for passing their trial. In the fire-lit shadows, the snake priest initiated the youth into the ornamented songs, altar-building secrets and costumes inherent to their clan's profound ceremonial legacy. Come dawn, aided by Spider-Woman, he met with the ocean's ancient caretaker who awarded him enchanted beads, recognizing the valor of his dangerous exploits, but forbid peeking into their sack until his homeland was reached to avoid compromising their magic. Together, the young warrior and his new bride trekked back, euphoric over their budding union, though mystified that each morning their cache inexplicably grew heavier in spite of the long road ahead. Unable to restrain himself, the man briefly inspected the trove of beads in the bag, entranced by the vast bounty. But upon waking the next day, All had vanished aside from the initial 4 from the old woman. Such is the cost of misplaced curiosity. Finally, the pair arrived home where they raised children and disseminated the esoteric snake lore, inaugurating vital customs still enacted by Arizona's Hopis today. When summer storms gather, tribal dancers don elaborate masks and skin coverings, swaying as clouds and coils, offering prayers from prep areas adjacent to plazas in order to summon the rains necessary for their cherished corn crops to thrive, just as their ancestor did so very long ago when he too once journeyed far and wide to bring home to his community a deeper covenant with the divine. And so the legend tells of a spiritual people bound to the land, of mystical canyons and shape-shifting snakes, of the young adventurer who bridged worlds and brought home the dance. The saga both explains the snake dance's roots and reflects core Hopi values: reverence for nature, belief in metaphysical realms beyond our understanding, and the importance of rising to meet one's destiny. After the world was ready, Earth Doctor made all kinds of animals and creeping things. Then he made images of clay and told them to be people. After a while, there were so many people that there was not food and water enough for all. They were never sick and none died. At last there grew to be so many they were obliged to eat each other. Then Earth Doctor, because he could not give them food and water enough, killed them all. He caught the hook of his staff into the sky and pulled it down so that it crushed all the people and all the animals until there was nothing living on the earth. Earth Doctor made a hole through the earth with his stick, and through that he went, coming out safe, but alone, on the other side. He called upon the sun and moon to come out of the wreck of the world and sky, and they did so. But there was no sky for them to travel through, no stars and no Milky Way. So Earth Doctor made these all over again. Then he created another race of men and animals. Then Coyote was born. Moon was his mother. When Coyote was large and strong, he came to the land where the Pima Indians lived. Then Elder Brother was born. Earth was his mother, and Sky his father. He was so powerful that he spoke roughly to Earth Doctor, who trembled before him. The people began to increase in numbers, just as they had done before, but Elder Brother shortened their lives, so the earth did not become so crowded. But Elder Brother did not like the people created by Earth Doctor, so he planned to destroy them again. So Elder Brother planned to create a magic baby. The screams of the baby shook the earth. They could be heard for a great distance. Then Earth Doctor called all the people together and told them there would be a great flood. He sang a magic song and then bored a hole through the flat earth plane through to the other side. Some of the people went into the hole to escape the flood that was coming, but not very many got through. Some of the people asked Elder Brother to help them, but he did not answer. Only Coyote he answered. He told Coyote to find a big log and sit on it, so that he would float on the surface of the water with the driftwood. Elder Brother got into a big olla which he had made and closed it tight. He sang a magic song as he climbed into his olla. A young man went to the place where the baby was screaming. Its tears were a great torrent which cut gorges in the earth before it. The water was rising all over the earth. He bent over the child to pick it up, and immediately both became birds and flew above the flood. Only 5 birds were saved from the flood. One was a flicker, and one a vulture. They clung by their beaks to the sky to keep themselves above the waters, but the tail of the flicker was washed by the waves, and that is why it is stiff to this day. At last a god took pity on them and gave them power to make nests of down from their own breasts on which they floated on the water. One of these birds was the vipisimal, and if anyone injures it to this day, the flood may come again. Now South Doctor called his people to him and told them that a flood was coming. He sang a magic song and he bored a hole in the ground with a cane so that people might go through to the other side. Others he sent to Earth Doctor, but Earth Doctor told them they were too late. So they sent the people to the top of a high mountain called Crooked Mountain. South Doctor sang a magic song and traced his cane around the mountain, but that held back the waters only for a short time. 4 times he sang and traced a line around the mountain. The flood rose again each time. There was only one thing more to do. He held his magic crystals in his left hand and sang a song. Then he struck it with his cane. A thunder peal rang through the mountains. He threw his staff into the water and it cracked with a loud noise. Turning, he saw a dog near him. He said, "How high is the tide?" The dog said, "It is very near the top." He looked at the people as he said it. When they heard his voice, they all turned to stone. They stood just as they were, and they are there to this day in groups, some of the men talking, some of the women cooking, and some crying. But Earth Doctor escaped by enclosing himself in his reed staff, which floated upon the water. Elder Brother rolled along in his Ola until he came near the mouth of the Colorado River. The Ola is now called Black Mountain. After the flood, he came out and visited all parts of the land. When he met Coyote and Earth Doctor, each claimed to have been the first to appear after the flood, but at last they admitted Elder Brother was the first, so he became ruler of the world. I hope you enjoyed this romp through Pima legends. I hope you enjoyed this desert journey through Native American stories. Please leave a like or comment. For more desert romps, hit the subscribe button.